Hello, everybody. What is up? And welcome to another episode of the PokerNews podcast. It is Sarah Herring, your girl, here with Jeff Platt and the big C, Chad Holloway. Chad, we missed you last week, but you've been a very, very busy boy. Tell us a little bit about what the last, week was like and how you were ducking out on us.
Yeah, last week I just got a little burnt out. It was the tail end of July and covering the WSOP.com bracelet events, and literally worked every day of July doing either live updates or some other PokerNews duties. So, most of these tournaments were like 12 hours long. I think on average, there was a few turbos that finished before then, but so yeah, it just kind of took its toll on me, and I decided, you know what, I need a little extra sleep. So by ducking out of the podcast last week, I got to sleep in an extra 3 hours, and I knew you guys were more than capable of handling things. So.
Yeah, that's right. We were totally fine without you, and actually, I got tons of hype that it was like one of the best episodes ever. So I was like, "Sorry, Chad." But
it's funny because I looked at the numbers, and and it was one of the lowest ranking episodes ever in terms of listenership. So.
That makes a lot of sense, actually. And Chad's really good about the social media, which we both know that I am not. So, all right. Well, we've got a lot to cover, as it seems like the usual since this whole thing has been going down. But just briefly before we get into that, I did want to ask you, Chad, what was it like to go back to the trenches, if you will? So you're kind of a big deal now. You're in, the editorial staff. You've been managing, a tournament circuit for a while before this. And then you spent an entire month just live reporting, not only just live reporting, but from online. What was the transition like? Do you feel like you can be a better boss now because you know what's going down?
I think it's important to be in the trenches with the troops, so to speak, when it comes to live reporting. If you don't know what it's all about, it's hard to relate, with the long hours and the responsibilities that are associated with it. Fortunately, it is the way I came up in this industry. I've live reported a lot of tournaments over the past 10 years or so. And I still do my fair share, but it has been a while since I did the sort of grind that I had to do for these online events. And that's just day in, day out, 12 hours a day, reporting one tournament after another. There's a big difference between doing that for 4 weeks straight than, say, doing a MSPT or HPT for a weekend. So it was nice kind of to get back into it, to saddle up, so to speak, but I certainly wouldn't want to do it. I don't think I could have done another month. Or even another 3 weeks. The WSOP is usually 7 weeks long. We did 4 weeks. I'm glad I'm not doing the live updates for the GG portion of the schedule. We have great reporters who are doing that for PokerNews. I'm sure we'll talk about that later in the show. But for me personally, I'm glad to be back home in Wisconsin and to have a little bit of downtime compared to what I went through in July.
I imagine it's difficult covering an online tournament too, especially when you're an observer to the WSOP.com tables. I think you can pull up the hand history from like just one hand previous and that's it. And so I'm sure you had a bunch of tables up. I mean, that sounds like you are just always kind of on the go, always working, always reporting hands.
Yeah, it was definitely an adjustment to be made. One of the things that I did find very useful was that the lobby always has the chip counts listed, right? And so you could scroll to the bottom, see who the short stacks are, and pull up their tables and know that their all-in situation is coming within a matter of minutes. And, you either get their double up or you get their bust out. And that's good content to get, especially when you get, names like Phil Hellmuth. Jeff, I noticed your name was down there quite a bit at the bottom.
It was at the very bottom. Usually eliminated before you started covering.
No, it was fun, especially, there were highlights throughout the summer too. And we'll talk about some of those stories. But, when you made your final table run and you were streaming that was, very exciting for us reporters. Obviously, I have a connection with you here on the podcast. We've known each other a long time. And so it was one of those moments. And Sarah, I know you've experienced these before. Jeff, I'm sure you have too, where the kind of the real life friendship blends over into the professional reporting aspect of things. In fact, Sarah, you and I experienced it when I won my bracelet and you did the winner's interview. Those are always rare but very special moments. Yeah. that was cool when you went and made your first WSOP final table, Jeff. Like to be able to be there watching you and reporting it, virtually at least, that was really good moment.
That's cool, man. I appreciate that. That was a ton of fun. That's certainly selfishly what I will remember the most from this World Series of Poker, and being able to do it on Twitch, have all the support. Support includes you guys, of course. Yeah, it's very, very memorable for me. And I see what you mean. You develop that kind of camaraderie. Like I was rooting hard for Sarah in the Faded Spade Poker Go whatever free roll thing, which doesn't matter at all, but I was still rooting hard for Sarah. Chad, doing the same for you when you were streaming some of your WSOP events. I would do the same for like Brent or Jamie or Maria. And it's just like, when you work with people so much, you develop that kind of relationship, and you really want them to do well. At least the good people you really want to do well. There are probably some people we've all worked with who we're probably kind of sort of, rooting against in a way.
Yeah. And also I noticed that you're wearing the shirt, the Rob v. Tyson shirt.
Yes.
Which, just so you guys know, that is about Boston Rob and someone not Mike Tyson.
That is, yes, that is correct. That would be Tyson Apostles, the two Survivor legends go head to head. Twitch.tv/Rob vs. Tyson every Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific time.
That's right. And now that we've caught up on Chad's life, Jeff, I know you were going to be with David Williams streaming the Colossus and the Colossus, which we will catch up on. But one of the things you teased a little bit last week was a heads-up challenge with Antonio Esfandiari and Phil Hellmuth, which you went into great detail explaining. I tuned out for like a little part of you explaining it, but I do know that we had Phil Hellmuth v. Antonio. There was Sean Deeb threw in that there might be like a taser involved or something. You kind of catch us up what went down in that heads-up match.
Yeah, sure. That was the high-stakes duel. That was round one, Phil Hellmuth versus Antonio Esfandiari. They each put up $50,000. They went heads-up in a heads-up sit-and-go at the Poker Go studio. It's available to watch for free on YouTube. Hellmuth did beat Esfandiari, so now Phil has $100,000 in his bank. So for Antonio to ask for a rematch, Antonio is going to have to put up $100,000. So now they'll be playing for $200,000. If Hellmuth wins this, then Antonio, if he wanted a rematch, would have to put up $200K. If Hellmuth won and Antonio was out, somebody else could come in the mix and fire off $200K. So this really has the chance to escalate and get to pretty high stakes. There's the potential of it going 8 rounds with $12.8 million on the line in a heads-up tournament in the final round. Now, I think if Hellmuth wins the first 3, once you win 3 in a row, you can just bounce. And I think that's what Phil would probably do with $400,000, $350K profit in his pocket. I think he would bounce, but I don't know. I'm very intrigued, very interested. Round 2 has not been scheduled yet, but Antonio did accept his right to rematch. So it will be Hellmuth versus Esfandiari with $200,000 on the line in round 2.
Well, and you guys might remember from Chad's interview a couple of weeks ago with Phil Hellmuth that he online wins basically like what is the cost of a house in Michigan. So he might not even walk with that $400,000. He might just be like, whatever, that's just another house for me. Let's keep this going, grudge match style. We don't know. And if you guys didn't listen to that interview, you can check it out on YouTube or on the PokerNews page. It was a great interview, Chad. There's a ton of Phil Hellmuth gems in there, so you guys definitely want to go back and check that bad boy out. Now, Chad, something else we spoke about a little bit last week was I'm trying to put together a video of some of the best moments from this World Series of Poker that have been on the social media, and you sent me this video of Ian Steinman winning his first bracelet, which was just awesome. I think some of these moments captured by friends have been really some of my favorite content to come out, in fact, of the World Series so far. And it looks like Ian Steinman won Player of the Series. So I actually, now are they sort of going to do a Player of the Series WSOP stateside version and then GGpoker version, ?
Yeah, that's right. And it's very, this is different than the World Series Player of the Year that we see during the summer. Don't think of it in that same line. These are definitely like Player of the Series. WSOP.com had its own race with a 100K leaderboard. You have GGpoker also has their own leaderboard with some great prizes. up top. And so in the WSOP.com portion of it, it was actually a really tight race early on between certain players that you just kept seeing their name over and over and over again. One of them was Robert Kuhn, who streamed a lot of his action, won a bracelet early on, plays under the name Bustin' Balls. Another one was Ryan Torgerson. I'm sorry. He finished second in an event and then won the very next one. So his name was always there towards the top of the leaderboard. And at the beginning of the series, we've seen Ian Steinman. He goes under A Poker Joker 2 is his screen name. He was towards the top because he made 2 early final tables, but then he slowed down towards the middle of the series. But at the end, hit a bit of a heater. I think he ended up with 15 total cashes with, I want to say, 11 of them coming within the last 13 events or something along those lines. So he ended up winning $187,000 total, with the lion's share of that coming when he won a bracelet, took down event number 27, was a $400 freeze-out tournament, and won that for $110,000. That vaulted him to the top of the leaderboard, where he managed to hold off the competition. He ended up finishing with 3,186 points. The next closest competition was Ryan Torgerson, who had about 100 points less, 3,085, and then about 100 points behind them was Robert Kuhn. And so on this leaderboard, you get the bragging rights. Ian Steinman is the player of the series, and he won $18,000. That was the top prize for the winner. And then the top 50 players got paid $12,000 for second place, $9,000 for third, and then I think it just went down from there. And so it was a pretty exciting race, but Steinman just had a great showing there at the end and won the bracelet, which for him was a very special deal. He was a 4-time ring winner, won his 4th ring earlier this year, and during his winner's interview for that ring, said that he would really like to win a bracelet, but he doesn't want to make it a goal of his, because it's not really a goal that you can accomplish, right? It's a dream, it's a wish, but you can't really, there's so much luck in poker. He was hesitant to make it a goal of his, but regardless of that, he doesn't have to make it a goal anymore because he is a World Series of Poker bracelet winner.
Yeah, I think he deserves it. It's cool to see. And like you said, Chad, he just seemed to run deep almost every single night. And it gives me some hope for the World Series of Poker moving forward, that for Player of the Year, they will start to put some real prizes up top. You mentioned GG as their leaderboard. You mentioned 18K up top for this one. So I think in the future, the World Series of Poker is going to put their Player of the Series honor on a bit of a higher pedestal, and that includes some prizes, hopefully.
And it's always good to see, it not be such a close race, because we know things can get a little dicey when it is, and who even knows who wins sometimes. So it's good to just have that one locked up in the bag, especially when there's money, being exchanged. Well, we're just going to continue on, expressing the end of our coverage for the World Series of Poker.com portion. Event number 29, the 2000 No Limit Hold'em Deep Stack event. It is no surprise that in a deep stack event, the final table was fully stacked with lots of players that I think people would recognize. And Chad, in fact, ended up speaking to the winner, Nick Shadowjacker. Okay, go ahead.
Guagenti.
Guagenti.
You'll hear in the interview. I had to ask him a couple times too, because it's a strange name, but it was an interesting win for him in the $2,000 deep stack. So it wasn't supposed to be a $2,000 deep stack. When the schedule originally came out, it was a $400 turbo event, and they made the change like a week or two into the schedule. They decided to change it to a $2,000 No Limit Hold'em deep stack, and probably a good thing they did. It got 747 entries, $1.4 million prize pool, ended up awarding $305,000 to Nick Gargenti. Names associated with the screen names when they actually cash in an event. So we knew others at the final table, which was probably the most stacked final table of the entire series. I'll get into that with Nick a little bit, but he ended up coming out on top for his first WSOP bracelet. And I knew I wanted to talk to him. I've known Nick for a while. He's been around the poker scene since 2006, I think. He's been grinding. He came close last year to winning a bracelet on 2 occasions, couldn't close it out. And here he is winning it online in a no limit event, which is kind of strange because he's more of a mixed games player. But we'll get into that with Nick. Had the chance to chat with him. And here's that interview right now. All right, I am with our guest this week here at Poker News, a recent World Series of Poker.com bracelet winner, one Nick Gargenti. I said that right? You know, like I've been practicing here off the air.
Yeah, close enough.
How you doing, man? You, like I said, you won a bracelet here over the weekend, and I know that was a big deal for you. I've known you for quite a while. The poker world's known you for a while. You've got results dating back quite a ways. You know, what was it like to finally get that bracelet?
Oh man, it was an amazing feeling. I was pretty happy to get it off the bag. Got a lot of friends, got a lot of bracelets. So being one of the few that don't is a little, you know, they needle me a lot.
Sure.
Which is fine. I like a good needle. So I'm still getting needled there. You know, I got a couple friends saying, you know, it's an online bracelet, it doesn't count. You know, but no, I'm for sure counting this one.
I mean, I can relate to that. I won a bracelet in a closed event, the casino employees event.
I remember.
7 years ago. And I caught a lot of shit about, you know, it not being a real bracelet or what have you. But you know what? It was a real WSOP event. It was tough. You know, these fields were tough over the summer. I was reporting them for Poker News.
No, any tournament you win is tough. It isn't easy to win a tournament. I don't care who's in it. You know, you got to run real well and play really well. So,
Well, and
the tournament you win is earned.
The tournament that you won was the event number 29, $2,000 no limit hold'em deep stack tournament, 747 entries, $1.4 million prize pool. I mean, a 2K deep stack is full of crushers, and I think that was evidenced by the final table. In fact, you know, having covered every single event this summer, I would say that this was the toughest final table of the summer. You know, aside from yourself, you had Matthew Pari, Ari Engel came in third, Ryan Tosick was there, Brian Deutschmeister, Vinny Pahuja, Rory Brown, James Gilbert, and you know, former November Niner and online bracelet winner Tom Canuli was the final 9 at this final table. And it was stacked. And did you feel that? Did you feel it was a tough competition as you were playing?
Well, I mean, I expect nowadays in poker, as you get deeper in these tournaments, that they're all going to be fairly tough fields. You know, this one, a lot of well-known players, you know, and you just got to expect that as you get deep. Even I play a lot of these tournaments in the Midwest and, you know, Ohio and Indiana and Michigan and stuff. Like the field as a whole, you know, not the toughest, but as you get deeper, it's usually, you know, over half the players left are, you know, good players. You know, it's just the way it is in 2020. You know, there's just a whole lot of good players.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. And, you know, looking back at your results, I seen you started getting Hendon results in 2006. And like the difference between what a final table might have been like back in 2006 compared to now, you know, it's just remarkable. Like you said, most everybody knows what they're doing if they've managed to get that far.
I mean, if you understood, you know, poker just a little bit in 2006, you were head and shoulders above the competition. You know, and nowadays everyone understands, you know, push shove, just ICM. Everybody understands the basics of tournaments, and that's all you really needed in 2006 for the basics to be one of the better players.
Right. Now you're based in Ohio, right?
Yeah.
Now, where did you go to play these online bracelet events? Did you go to New Jersey or did you make the trip out to Nevada?
Me and my buddy Joey drove to New Jersey. We didn't want to fly, kind of avoid the close quarters.
Sure.
You know, with all the COVID and everything, but we drove to New Jersey, played at Caesars just to make transactions a little easier. It was nice. I have never been to New Jersey in the summer. It's always been, you know, winter.
Right.
It was actually The boardwalk was beautiful. Beach, everything was great.
And how many events did you play? Were you there the whole month, or did you just go out for a short period of time?
We went out. I think I played 11 events. We went out. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
We went out like the 20th, I think, and I played all 11 events from there, and I didn't make it past registration. I was getting max bullets in before registration, and it was incredible. I think 2 events of the other 10 that I made it past registration without max bullets, and one of them was the Limit 08 event, which I didn't expect to be too difficult to not get max bullets in, but yeah, it was either maximum pain or the win, right?
But then
poker is sometimes.
One of the I guess benefits maybe, and we can talk about this, is by not cashing any other events, we didn't know who you were. So you have your screen name, and in order for us at PokerNews and others in the wider poker world to know, the WSOP releases the real names of everybody who cashes, and so we have a big database of real names and their screen names. But since you hadn't cashed in any, we didn't even know as you were playing, as you won the tournament. I didn't learn until after the fact that it was actually you who won. So I'm assuming most of the players didn't know who you were either. Do you think that anonymity might have given you a little bit of a edge at all?
Oh, of course. I was pretty, like I was telling Joey, I was like, I'm glad nobody knows who I am. It's having information on people, whether, because I've played with Ari, I've played with a few of the guys at the table. Having information on people is a big part of poker, and them having no information on me and me knowing who they are is a huge edge. I mean, the tournament was super short, like stacks and everything. So like there wasn't much poker to be played, but like any information is important in cards. So yeah, not being like was great. I enjoyed it.
Now, talk a little bit about the actual, play down at the final table. Were there any, big hands that really made the difference for you, in your opinion, on your way to victory?
Oh man, there's a few. I mean, I was pretty lucky. King 10 of hearts, I shoved like, I think 19 blinds 5-handed into ace king. I was 4th out of 5. And I hit a 10 on the end. I mean, that was a massive hand. The 3s versus ace queen when we were 3-handed was huge, of course. I mean, that was a lot of equity. He was 3-betting me a lot. He was playing really good. He was owning me. I was over it. I shipped on him, and I actually had a better hand in hell. Yeah, those 2 hands were huge at the final table. Before that, I got in with ace 5 of clubs against the buttons ace 8, and we chopped. That was pretty important. It wasn't for my whole stack, but it was a big
Sure.
Big. But like I said, all these hands are all ins. Like the tournament didn't have a ton of play at the end, which was fine with me. I prefer tournaments like that. It's just easier.
Sure. Yeah.
The math is all, done out for you. So just play the math.
The final hand of the tournament was nice. You ended up flopping the 7 high straight. He had a jack 7 suited for top pair, and you guys get it all in. That's got to be a pretty good feeling to. I mean, he wasn't drawing dead per se, but I mean, he was after the turn there.
Yeah, the celebration happened on the turn. I didn't even see the river. I had no idea what the river was. It was. I'm just sitting there. I bet, and I'm just sitting there, saying go all in, go all in, go all in, and he did, and I was just like, I just snapped it off, and it felt incredible. We're just jumping and screaming. It was a fun time, man. Like I've been around for a long time, but I've got those feelings are few and far between. So you have to really enjoy them when they happen, and you have to soak it in. A lot of times people get right back into playing, which is fine. But for me, you're going to lose a lot more than you're going to win. So when you win, you kind of just want to have that winning feeling for as long as you possibly can, because you're gonna lose a lot in cards. It's just how it works.
So the next day was the seniors event. So there was no event to play, but you were in New Jersey, and it probably finished at like 6 a.m. in the morning when you actually, scored victory. Did you do anything to celebrate? Were you able to go to sleep right away? What was it like that, 24 hours after the win?
Sleep was not happening. Me and Joey, we went out, walked the boardwalk for maybe a couple of hours, walked on the beach, answered a bunch of texts for the next 3 or 4 hours, went out to eat a few times. I probably didn't get to sleep until like 9 or 10 the next night.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I think I slept for like 3 hours. It was I was burnt out. Like it happens to me a lot. I won't get a ton of sleep. So yeah, I'm still kind of recovering, honestly. So we drove home. We played the next day, and then we drove home, and I didn't get a lot of sleep. Since then, I've total gotten like 20, 24, 30 hours of sleep. I'm not sure. But,
well, you've got a wife and some kids, right? So that probably keeps you busy as well.
Oh yeah. I have a great wife. She really, she's perfect for me playing cards. She allows me, like, with little fight, to just do what I need to do when I need to do it. Like, I spend maybe 75-80% of my year with my children, and I consider myself a stay-at-home dad most of the year, but I travel for cards, and when I have to do that, she doesn't really say a word, and she really accepts my job, which is great. She's been with me since the beginning. We've known each other since 4th grade.
Wow.
I told my mom I was going to marry her when we were in 5th grade, and she didn't. I chased her pretty much all the way till senior year of high school, and she finally gave in, and we've been together ever since.
Wow, that's very cool. And
yeah.
I want to ask you then real quick too. I know last summer, the World Series of Poker live version in Vegas, you had a decent year. You almost captured a bracelet on 2 occasions. You ended up finishing 4th in the 10K Omaha High-Low Championship for 140K, and then a little over a month later finished 3rd in the 3K Horse for another $85,000. Obviously, nice scores to have during the summer. But I'm curious to know, like, coming that close to a bracelet on 2 occasions, was there a little disappointment associated with that? And then, fast forward here now a year and you get the bracelet. Is there a little bit a feeling of redemption, so to speak?
So my years at the WSOP, I've been going for, I think, 16 years now. I've never really focused a ton of my time on WSOP events, maybe like 7 to 10 a year. And last year I was fed up, and I just said, I'm going to go for it. And I sold action for the first time ever. I sold a package, and I played, all the 10Ks I could find, and every event trying, because I told myself, I said, if I can't make a run, if I could play 40 to 50 tournaments and I can't make a run, I don't deserve to, play these events, and I'll just focus on cash, which is what I've done most years. And so it was a great feeling to make those runs. It was kind of validating, I guess. The 3K Horse was, I had, I think, 2/3 of the chips 3-handed, and I played some pretty atrocious hands that I regret to this day. And so that one hurt. That one hurt a lot. That one hurt a lot. The 08, I didn't completely love how I played the final table either. So that one hurt, but just not as much as the horse. The horse, I felt like I was going to win, and it just didn't work out, I guess. But coming back and winning this, I actually felt a lot of momentum coming from the runs I made last year. So I felt really good about the 2020 WSOP, and I was really pumped to play everything. I was probably going to play the 50K Players Championship. I I sold for it last year. I got really sick and didn't think it was a good idea. I actually had to get an IV, which worked. It didn't work at all. Just dead sick. So yeah, I was pumped. I thought I knew I was going to make a run at a bracelet, and for it to be online, no limit hold'em, it's just funny. It's funny to me. Like I didn't see that coming, and a lot of people said the same to me.
Well, yeah, I certainly would have put the odds on money in some sort of mixed tournament in the live realm, but it was certainly exciting to learn after the fact that that screen name was you. It was like I said, a very tough final table, and yeah, I really appreciate you taking time out of your day, out of your schedule to chat with us. I think as soon as you won, I said I'm going to want an interview because this is a long time coming, and I was very happy to see it.
Yeah, I appreciate that. A lot of great words from a lot of people I truly respect. So that's been like I've seen some great things written about me, like just random friends, and it's meant a lot to me, to know that I've portrayed myself in a way that people respect, and I that's what I've always tried to do. Really, is have a good name in cards is a big thing to me. It matters to me. I've never owed anybody. I've never been broke is one of the biggest things in cards. I've never had a ton of money in cards. Like I've always grinded, and it's tough. Like I've been with a lot of people that are better card players than me that can't survive and can't stay out of people's pockets. It's a rough job mentally, physically, and financially. It's not many people can withstand the pain, I guess, that comes with cards.
For sure. Well, if those of you listening want to keep on top of Nick's poker adventures, you can follow him on Twitter at quad4s_kin. So at quad4s_kin. And, Nick, hopefully come the next live WSOP, whether that's later this year or in 2021, hopefully you'll be making a run at bracelet number 2.
Yeah, I hope something happens. What do you think the odds are we see a WSOP in the fall?
I think pretty
I've
low.
been asking a lot of people.
Yeah, I think less than 5% would be my guess.
Yeah, I've been getting a lot of sub 10%.
Yeah, it just
we all want it to happen for sure, right?
Absolutely, us the tournament organizers do too. But just given the state of affairs with COVID, especially here in the United States, all the travel bans that are in effect, and it's also an election year up until November, so there's a lot of politics involved. I think it's going to be tough for them to pull it out, but who knows? A lot can change between now and then.
Yeah, I mean, I've been talking to people that think 2021 has a sub 50% chance of happening, which is I don't know. I just seen Canterbury just started tournaments. I thought I'd seen some posts that they started running tournaments, so I guess that's a plus and for us going forward.
Yeah,
as long as we get some people out there, being test dummies for us all, we'll see what happens.
Exactly.
Well, a couple weeks ago, we were talking to Pat Flying Lions, and actually several of our guests in the last month or so have expressed their delight at getting to play in the seniors event, which is always one of the biggest events. Every time we're at the Rio and it's the seniors event, I am just shocked and amazed how many people come out and make this is their bracelet event, the bracelet event of the year. Chad, let's talk a little bit about event number 30. Did you find was it the same experience online as it is live?
I think so. The event number 30 was the seniors event, $500 buy-in tournament. Had to be 50 years old or older to participate. They were able to verify this. When you verify your account, you have to provide a birth date and identification and all that. So they're able to, verify a player's age, make it open only to them. And the field size was decent, 720 entries throughout this. And there were a lot of familiar names playing in this. Kenna James, Lane Flack, Bernard Lee was able to play in it for the first time. I talked to him a little bit about that. But coming down to the stretch, it was an interesting heads-up match. And I say this because it didn't really get much play. It wasn't a huge story because it ended up being the winner was Jonathan Lesson out of New Jersey, goes by the name Sugar J, took it down for over $64,000. Great story, great winner. But the guy he beat heads up, who actually had the chip lead at one point, was a guy named Musker with 3 R's at the end. So Musk, 3 R's is the screen name, but the player behind that is James Moore. And when it comes to seniors events at the World Series of Poker, James Moore is a legend. He won the Super Seniors event in 2016, topped a field of 1,476 runners, and then came back in 2017 and defended that Super Seniors title in a field of 1,720 entries. So going back to back in the Super Seniors, an incredible accomplishment. And then here he was almost winning a third Seniors bracelet in the online version, ends up coming up one spot short. But I thought that was a pretty cool story.
Yeah, and I hate to cut you off, but I'm looking him up, and I definitely know that James Moore. Sarah, you'll recognize him too, no question about it. James Moore, yeah, as Chad said, an absolute legend as far as the seniors and Super Seniors events are concerned.
It's so interesting to me. I mean, all across the board, from, I guess, who we would consider professionals to who we might consider more recreational type players, is that still those who are able to capture these bracelets and go deep in these moments in live events are also able to transition into the online world. And especially people based in the United States, I'm just so impressed by how people are just able, to me, this being in the poker world for the last decade, it's like these are different things and they're very hard to be really good at both of them, especially not bracelet winner, material in both. And I think we're pretty consistently seeing that it actually is the same game. Listen up, American regulators and legislators. It turns out this might actually be the same game. Just saying.
I do think that the game is shifting more to, quote unquote GTO strategy. Players are making the more optimal decision, which bodes well in the online ranks as well when you're literally playing on a computer. So I completely see your point. I do think that live and online have become more similar, especially in multi-table tournaments over the last couple of years.
Wow, Jeff, in with like the really serious commentary. Listen, I was talking to Roberto Romanello, and who else?
That was great, by the way.
Literally everyone I've interviewed in the last couple months is like, yeah, I don't know. Even Phil Hellmuth, he's like, I don't know about GTO. I studied that for like 4 hours and then I won a bracelet. Like, I do my own GTO. Everyone does their own GTO. Okay, so
sure.
That's Jeff. Yeah, sure. See you there. See you at the felt,
yeah.
girl. Get it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about the 1K No Limit Hold'em Championships, which actually I'm gonna let Jeff, you take this one, but then I know Chad has a little juicy gossip because he's been doing a little digging on this winner.
Yeah, for sure. So 2,100 entries, more than 2,100 entries, I should say, creating a prize pool of more than $2 million. Pretty good turnout for the championship event. Hellmuth ran deep, Tony Dunst ran deep, Jamie Kerstetter finished in 37th, Ryan LaPlante in 30th. A pretty stacked final table. Andrew Lucky Chewy Lichtenberger finished in 3rd place. I feel like all eyes were on him. He won $140,000. And Chad, I was not too familiar with our winner. Narain Two Rivers Tamero wins more than $310,000 in that 1K WSOP.com WSOP Bracelet Event Championship.
Yeah, I wasn't familiar with the name either, and so that's why I did a little bit of digging. We wanted to know more about who the winner of the championship event was and taking home, $310,000. It seems like a pretty good story. Who could it be? And so did a little investigating, got in touch on Twitter, and it turns out that Narain Tamero is a 33-year-old from San Diego, California. She is a mother of a 5-year-old son. Says she told me he takes up 99% of her attention a day, and she loves it. She's currently a wife and a mother as her day job, and her husband taught her how to play poker a few years back, and she just said she fell in love with the game. She says she plays poker for fun, but wouldn't mind doing it professionally one day. And here she is as a WSOP bracelet winner and beating out a tough final table. And I think I just think it's a great story, and I think it is a great ending to the WSOP.com portion of the schedule, because I know we talked in a prior episode about how women were doing well in the WSOP.com portion and making many final tables, having a lot of cashes, and just putting up a good performance. And then here we have, the end cap. We have a female winner, kind of just the epitome of what we talked about. Somebody who plays for fun, who finds the time to play among a life of, maybe raising a family or having jobs. And I just think it's a great story. $310,000 in a bracelet. It's great. And she's been busy with some moving and remodeling, but I am hoping to get her on the Poker News podcast here in the coming weeks.
I mean, sometimes I just wonder, where have I gone wrong in my life on so many levels? But who is someone who's just like, I'm mostly a wife and a mom, and I just have like 1K to just run it up on this tournament really quick. I mean, granted, she won 310K, but sometimes I just don't understand, like, who just has $1,000 to just casually do a tourney here and there. And for those of you out there who are listening who do, good for you. Send me a message. Let me know how I can get there. Just saying. All right, well, before we get into the GG portion of the World Series and catch up on what's been going on there, and there is a lot, I want to I did speak to Gordon from Best Poker Coaching, and I've done a little bit of research. It looks really cool, and actually maybe for me to get to the spot in my life where I can spend $1,000 on an online tourney here or there, what I maybe need is a little bit of coaching. This is something I get a lot of questions about this. Where do you find a coach? How do you find a good coach? Where are the best places, the resources online? What are the best tools? And I think for everybody who's looking to, like Jeff said, get to the GEO strategy, Geometro, to get to the GTO strategy, and to have a better understanding of some of the solvers and some of the directions, the way that poker is going, you do need some help, you do need some resources. So without further ado, let's welcome to the show Gordon. Hello, my dear. All right, everybody, I am joined by Gordon, who is a German American. You'll recognize just a little bit of an accent. Former professional poker player who is now active with the site, which I just introduced to you guys that we were talking about, Best Poker Coaching. So talk to me a little bit, Gordon. Obviously, there are lots of poker training sites, and I do get asked quite frequently, what are sites that you recommend? Why? How do you build a sense of community? How do you find a coach, good coaches? So let's talk a little bit about Best Poker Coaching and what it is and what differentiates it from all the other poker sites out there.
Yeah, it's a very good question, because the moment when we started, there were like sites popping up all over. Back in the days, Card Runners doesn't exist anymore, but I remember when I actually started playing, that was in end of 2006 actually. I think that was a new thing, like even the concept of an online site itself. So I owe them a lot in some way. But okay, since then the market has obviously evolved, and now there are like a lot of options available for everybody. So I think everybody has like their own special thing. I don't want to talk too much about others. I think they should talk for themselves. What we really focus on, what we do best, is actually teaching what works. Because when I started out, Card Runners was great, but like back then you learned how to c-bet and you printed money. I'm exaggerating a bit, but things have changed, and I've never seen anywhere a site where you can learn things from A to Z, step by step, but like without all the bullshit, like without all the extra where coaches, there were on some sites, like there would literally be a coach who's like sleep talking while live playing, and you're like watching this for 1 hour and you're supposed to like learn something. So I was always a little bit annoyed by that. And I like the no bullshit philosophy. We get straight to the point. So what we focus on, to answer your question in a short form, is we focus on teaching what works. So I can get more into detail if you wish. We field test. So what we teach is not something you can find in the GTO robot. What we teach is actually what we know that works. We have database, we have our own database analyst, 100 million plus hands. We really look what actually works, what makes money, not what is correct, right, wrong. We just think what makes money, what doesn't. And that's what we teach. And that's one thing that makes us different. If you give me one more minute, the second thing I'm excited about is, and that's what we really got famous for, is that not only what we teach actually works, but like we're the only ones that actually test it on people. And when I say test it, no, like people only pay us if they win. I mean, I think that's the ultimate promise. Like, of course, you can get courses on our site as well and pay for them, but people can actually come to us who have no experience, who know nothing, get free coaching, and they only pay if they win. And I think anybody, that's my opinion, and like even there is a very famous, I'm not going to mention the site, but it's a very, very well-known site. The founder is very, very well-known. And I will send a link actually about him once saying, yeah, like coaching for profits is the fairest form of poker. Then he started his coaching site, and all of that went out of the window because it's damn hard. So creating courses, it's one thing, blah, 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 everybody can do. But actually making it work, it's actually very hard. And I'm very proud to say for almost 10 years, we've been doing that with a lot of success. So long answer.
No, not even a long answer, actually. For all that was covered in there, I would say that was a very short answer, and I still have lots and lots of questions.
Okay.
So first of all, I think it's really interesting, and this is just kind of a side, I guess, an aside, because I think as the poker community have just been inundated in the last few years with this GTO concept, right? GTO, everybody's got to be GTO, the solvers, the playing, this is the exact right way to play. And yet what I've discovered in a lot of interviews with a lot of the players who are winning players, who are profitable players, is that they are not always utilizing what is this traditional, GTO. How often would you say then that you're finding in your data analysis an overlap between what is both profitable and then also GTO? Or is it quite frequent that it's not?
Yeah, the opinion on GTO is not necessarily that it's wrong. It's more like I'm looking for the way, again, remember the fastest way to get from A to C. I'm not saying like the computer supposedly best way, but we're humans and we're playing against other humans. And the weaker the human player is, the more you would use something called exploitative style, which kind of most people actually do use. Now, if you're, and because when I say GTO is bullshit, it's kind of tongue-in-cheek. I understand it very well. We all understand well because we work a lot. Everything we do is based on data, math, and analytics. But that's the thing. Most people that join, they're not playing super high stakes. They're not playing against other geniuses. And the mistake that many people who are, let's say, playing lower stakes, NL10, NL50, we're not even professionals, the mistake they do is they believe their opponents are so sophisticated and they have all these stories that they're constantly taking notes and researching what they write on a forum and their secret strategy. It's kind of a weird form of narcissism. And I say that as somebody who was paranoid about this as well, so no shame. But yeah, you don't need to worry about all of this stuff. And again, I always say, nobody has to believe anything we say. It's what we do and what our students do that win a lot of money. That's always my standard backup line for everything. Whenever somebody says, "Oh, that's wrong," no, it does work. So GTO, I think it's a natural evolution of the game. People will get stronger over time. The bots do get stronger. I don't neglect that. We always keep an eye on it. But I think the job of a site or something that calls itself a training site is to give people the tools that make them win today, not win after 2 years of training. By the way, I don't know how familiar you are or the players with these different tools. One guy on our team once made like a funny comment, or wrote like an email and said like, okay, you check raise 27.5% with king queen, but only if it's a diamond. And I don't know, only if the flop is jack high, but like on the 10 high flop, because you have 3 reverse backdoor flush draws. Okay, just from a practical point of view, good luck learning that. Like, it's not every time logical, if that makes sense. Like, for example, if you play chess, like the engine, there is, at least for humans, there feels like there's a lot of inherent logic. But with GTO solvers, the thing that you learn, let's say that you invest a lot of time learning, it might only be applicable for one specific situation, and a situation very similar to the thing that you learned, it's actually going to be a horrendous, excuse me, it's going to be a horrendous mistake. So yes, if you do it correctly, and this is why you always hear that from smart people, who are good, no doubt, like they're decent players and everything. They don't make the most money. I know who's printing, but they're good. I don't want to shame them or anything, but they are typically investing a lot of time into this. They are, let's say, very smart or like very good at memorizing things. I just think for the normal person that wants to learn and make money, it's not good. And I think we're living proof of that. Like, I mean, show me the person. I always ask for proof. Like the people that say, oh, GTO is good. I'm like, okay, here, take Joe, right? Joe, 40 years old, playing online poker, has maybe 2-3 hours a day. And that's already a lot, right? Children, work, whatever. And then he's like, oh yeah, by the way, here's this advanced GTO tool. He's just like, what is this? So that's my long answer to that.
That's so spot on, like so spot on. Well, talk to me. I mean, when you say the Coaching for Profits program, and I think that this is an incredibly ambitious concept to only have people pay if they make money. This sounds great, right, in theory, but how does this work in practicality? If I, say, Sarah Herring, wanted to join the program, how do you make this work where it only costs money if I win?
Well, if you think about it, I mean, the real question, and this is the absurd thing, is like, normally if you learn something, it should be automated. Like you should only pay if you win. I mean, that should be the normal. Like, why should you pay if it does? I mean, if it doesn't make you win, you don't go to the doctor if the doctor doesn't help you. You don't keep going to that doctor. Like you assume the person's going to help you. That's the job. So we've gotten to a point where like people are so, well, especially my friends and family in the US, like you were like, let's say brainwashed from child spot on, go to college, spend 200K, and then what? Then everything is going to be fine. Like nobody ever thought like, oh, maybe we should think about this, or what is my return? It's just like, it's like inside the brain. So you also think like you pay for something with no expectations. And of course that's a lot easier to just say like, hey, this is the magic course, go and buy it. Yeah, but anyways, you're asking what would happen with Sarah joining CFP. That's a short form of coaching. We always say like, don't pay until you win. But to be fair, you will pay a security deposit. It's not a trap or anything. I'm telling why, because otherwise, well, anybody could join. It's the internet. We don't ask for a copy of your passport. I never liked that. Like, I don't like being intrusive, but I figured out some, let's say, GTO, and we have to use this, right? Something where you put in enough, you show like, hey, I'm in this, and the security deposit, you will get that back when you complete the program. But it's just like, hey, I'm not a random person. Okay, anyways, then you join the program. We have course materials tailored to every stage. I would say if you just learn poker, we even have the poker rules there, but to be honest, I think you shouldn't be joining the program if you don't know the rules. But okay, obviously you're a long time in the business, you know the rules, right? And then you get a course, you get pre-flop charts. You would start with a system called no bullshit, okay? So let me give you a backstory. I don't want to give myself too much praise there. That's the only thing I have to do though now, because we have a database analyst, the most respected in the world. Shout out to Alan Jackson. I invented a system that's super simple, okay? If you look at it, you're like, no way in the world this is gonna work. Everybody says so. They're like, even the people that use it say like, I can't believe it, I just trusted you, it works. Okay, what is it? It's a very simplified pre-flop chart, okay? You say like, whatever, I'll simplify. Aces to tens, 3-bet, nines to this call. Very simple for every position, okay? You can memorize that in 15 minutes. Because again, we keep in mind Mr. Joe, not like, I don't know, 20-year-old kid that has 24 hours and no sleep, right? So you learn a very simple system. We have simple post-flop rules, okay? I'll tell you, top pair, top kicker, and better, you barrel 3 times. I'll tell you exactly what to do if you get check raised. If you get check raised, you only go in with the nuts. I mean, I know it sounds really stupid and simple. We basically never bluff, okay? I mean, and I have a rule for the people who just can't, who want to bluff, we allow them to raise like with a flush or an open-ended straight draw. Okay, it's incredibly predictable, right? I mean, the system is the easiest to exploit in the world, I'm the first to admit. Alan Jackson looked at it. We ran it through millions of hands, and he said like he was shocked how good it was. I didn't run it through millions of hands. I just thought like that's a very simple system that's at least somewhat, I don't want to say sophisticated, but it works, okay? So we proved that over millions. It still works today. Now that was many years ago, and I thought, okay, it's a gig. It's gonna last like 2-3 years, and then I mean, everybody, even the most stupid people, will know. I underestimated how lazy people are, and it still works up to this day. Up to this day it works, and even this interview, even if it becomes the #1 hit on YouTube, I guarantee you it's gonna work in 2 years as well. Why? We learned this over 10 years. Humans don't change, okay? People are lazy, they want to gamble, and even the very great players, why are they not all rich? I mean, Isildur, one of the most brilliant players probably. I even played him back in the days on iPoker. One of the, I mean, brilliant player. Why is he, I mean, why does he have no money? Or maybe not so much, right? Because people don't hold on to it. That's the same reason why you can win on NL5 with a system. You just need to understand your edge. And we understand that our edge is not having the most advanced strategy, just good at winning. Maybe you know this from business. There's some people who you might refer to as maybe not so smart. Other people say, how can this stupid guy make so much money? It's because they're good at something else. So this is the basis of our strategy. You learn to know, you get into the program, you learn the no bullshit strategy. But of course, you're probably saying like you don't want to play NL2 for the rest of your life, Sarah. Is that correct?
That was my immediate next thing I was thinking. For sure, I need to move up in stakes.
So you can stick to the system and beat NL5 as well, but I guess that's also not all you want out of life. So you probably can even get away at NL10, but what happens is we teach something adaptation. So then we have a second course segment, which just focuses, actually I did that because I was still coaching, and we of course have updated material as well, but basically we would have topics like how to play aces. So then the student would get like 50 hands or so. You can more than you want, okay? You can only watch the first 10 hands, but you get 50 hands just with aces. We go through all scenarios. You see everything, basically anything that can happen, you will have seen before, so you're prepared. There's another observation I made when I was still coaching myself is that 99% of situations, 99% of trouble that people are in is they're in situations that you shouldn't be in. So I don't know, you can cut this out of the video if this is too politically incorrect, but I always gave my students the example that if you're in Harlem at 4 a.m. With a very short skirt, drunk, yeah, sure, it's not fair. Something happens to you, but that's a situation you shouldn't be in, right? So
use your brain.
Yeah, that's like in poker. Like all the mistakes the students would show me, it's just like, why did you do this bullshit? Like you should not even be here. And if students avoid that, 99% of trouble is gone. The 1%, there's always something random, but I mean, also your mental energy. 99%, like imagine, Sarah, you would have to think, you have aces under the gun and you start thinking, what should I do? I mean, imagine. Now, of course, you will always raise, but you can automate all of these decisions. Like you're always going to raise king, queen from the button. But what about top pair? You have standard lines, we call them. And you can use them and they work. And the better you get, the more you adapt. So this kind of, let's say, very elementary, stupid system, I say this with pride, this very stupid system will get sophisticated. You adapt, okay? And then you play against smart people. They adapt against you. And you adapt against. And actually, for the math geeks among us, if you do that 100 times, the solution actually is what is called GTO. That's a funny thing. So actually, it's a natural evolution to that point. But the good news is you will always, you only need to be one step ahead of your opponent. As long as you're doing that, don't need GTO. So Sarah, you're going to join the program. If you're going to put in the hours, I don't know if you want me to talk about our success stories. If you want, let me know. But yeah, I can tell you how fast you can succeed.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I definitely am curious how, because of course, like with anything else, you know, people are interested in, you know, what kind of street cred people have, or we live in a society, a culture, which is very much interested in at this point, and I would say reliant upon reviews. But I was just going to say it's really interesting too, because I don't know, I know that you have some investment, like you're interested in investments also, and it's so interesting because the market, right, follows these over and over and over again. It follows these same sort of lines that human beings react the same ways in the same situations. They, you know, sell low, buy high, freak out when something's happening in the market. And it doesn't matter, even though they know they shouldn't do these things or they know better, it just doesn't matter. The market follows the same patterns over and over again. And so it's so interesting when you to translate this, because I think people are quite frequently comparing poker and the stock market. And yet maybe this type of correlation is something people don't speak about often enough, which is that people consistently make the same dumb mistakes or the same poor emotional decisions, even though they know better. It keeps going.
I always say, like, the biggest strength of our program is actually that we focus, of course, on what works, but and this I only realized later, like the first students that went through the program, I trained them personally. They said the biggest thing, and I thought first, it sounds kind of like an insult, like the best thing we learned from him was not poker strategy. I'm like, what? This is a poker training site. You're not supposed to say that, right? At least pretend. Like, okay, no, but all jokes aside, I mean, they really said that. It said, like, the biggest thing they learned was the winner mentality and the winner mindset. And I only realized that later on, and what you say is true. The stock market is always the same. And especially the people, I'm always careful, especially with the people that say they are extremely rational. Those guys are the most emotional in certain moments. They get on the biggest monkey tilt ever. So what you say is very true. Human nature stays the same. This is why stupid systems, I mean, I call them non-sophisticated systems, have a chance of working. And I'll say it again, I'm the first to admit it shouldn't work, but it does. So yeah, I mean, with investing, it's very much the same.
Here we are.
It's always going to be the same.
Well, tell me a little bit, you know, for my audience, maybe who's unfamiliar with you or unfamiliar with Best Poker Coaching. How can you showcase to them, you know, the quality or the trust level? How do they know that they can believe in this system outside of the fact that obviously the coaching for profits is that's a pretty solid guarantee, but how could they investigate, I guess, your side?
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's a very good question. And I actually just finished reading a book yesterday. It's called Turtle Trader or something. It's about a group. It's about one very, very good trader who trained random people. He picked, I'll give a quick summary. He picked random people from all walks of lives, from all education levels, ethnicities, everything. And he had a bet with his partner and said, like, it's the old nature versus nurture debate. And he said that he can do that. And well, long story short, he succeeded pretty well. And I'm like, this kind of reminds me what I did, of course, a lot smaller than that guy, obviously. But I also thought that I believed poker was very simple. I did a lot of mistakes when I played because I kind of had to teach myself through hard experience and everything. But it's not that difficult at the end of the day if you avoid all the stupid mistakes. So, but back when I started the site, it was not meant to ever become a business. It was just a fun side gig while I learned other stuff. But I thought still, like, if you say, and I have helped friends in private when I was playing Heads-Up back in the days, and they were playing high stakes within a year. Now, of course, if you go out and say that, So everybody's gonna say, hey, that's late night television. You're not serious. Be more reasonable. Come on, no. Okay. So I thought, like, well, if we really want to do this properly, we have to be very transparent. So I told the guys, apply. I said, like, I don't care if you're a losing player. I mean, this is all public information, by the way. We posted it on public forums like 2+2. You can still read about that stuff today. There was a lot of hate. There was a lot of fun. There was a lot of controversy and everything. People made fun. They said, you're going to fail. I mean, to the students, like, you better, one comment was like, you better work for $1 at McDonald's, especially after the guy was like, I don't know, 350 or 400 Ks break even, more or less. Yeah, again, everybody sees your eyes, how they went up. Like, how is that possible? You must suck really hard as a coach, right? I got it. But no, I mean, it's true. Like I said, like, we're going to show the good and the bad, because this is what I would have wanted to see myself. And so they had to document, and everybody out of that first group, no exception, made 100K. 2 guys made it in 9 months. They started all at NL2. One guy was broke. Okay, he had his last money to his name, and I was almost uncomfortable, like, taking him on as a student, not because I didn't believe he could make it, but when somebody says, like, hey, I just lost my last money, I have like this and that left. I don't know if I would do that today again. I feel a bit more responsibility, you know. Luckily, I didn't back then. So yeah, you can read it from day one. We have it all linked. Of course, we brag a lot with it. That goes, if you do something like this, you will brag about it, yeah. But yeah, you can watch it day one. And again, I mentioned 300, 400K hands break even. It's important to continue doing the right thing. It's not just like, hey, the people came, they were geniuses, and whoops, the graph goes up. Now, still, the guy was break even for such a long time. He made the 100K in 9 months. This is what I want to tell every student out there. It doesn't matter if you're with us or with anybody else. Being persistent. My favorite example, it's like, you see the wall behind me or the door, right? I view success, maybe in general, like banging your head against the wall. You keep bang, 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 and the wall doesn't break, okay? The problem is, maybe this wall is made out of, let's say, 1,000 bang. No, that sounds wrong if I say 1,000 bangs. Well, you get it. We can cut it if you want, but you bang your head against it, right? And imagine you do it 999 times, and then you give up. You say, like, this wall doesn't crack. While the other person just tries one more time, you know, and full success. So this is a very typical success curve. Most of the time, it's like this, it goes down, and then woof. Once somebody gets it, like, it doesn't matter. Like, beating NL5 and beating NL 500 or NL 5000 is the same thing. Not literally the same, but the way you think is just like, what does my opponent do? How do I react against it? Of course, NL5K, it's a bit more sophisticated version of that. But the first principles, thought process is 100% the same. It was with me the same. I played horrible stuff, and once I got it, like, I moved from NL50 to NL5K in less than a year. So just like, you need to get it. Once you get it, you get it.
Well, I think it's interesting because a lot of great poker players have made the transition into some coaching, or have at least offered some space, you know, maybe within their stables or whatever it is, to coach. But it's funny because, so my husband was an athlete, and he has always, people have, since he retired, have encouraged him to become a trainer, become a coach. And he's always said, I'm a great athlete, I'm a terrible coach. Like, that they're not the same thing, right? That quite frequently being good at something and being someone who can teach people is not really actually the same thing. So do you feel like your site honors more finding that which is coachable more than just what it is, like, we're a bunch of players who are gonna, like, talk you through hands? Does that make sense?
Yes, of course. There's always, you know, this old debate, those who can't do teach, and there's a lot of truth to it. So if I were a student, I would look at 2 things. I would go to a person who has achieved what I want to achieve. I will do no compromise on that. One little compromise I would do. And the only exception, Yeah, so I will always look for the superstar, for the person who had done it. The only exception is I would look also for people who have helped others do what I want to achieve successfully. That's even better, because then you know it's not like only, well, maybe that guy's a genius, 160 IQ, who knows? From Slovenia, a horrible poker player, losing, 4 children, full-time job. For some reason, well, he didn't make it in 9 months. He made it in 18 months, I believe. It's still possible, right? So what you need to look for, and I got a lot of shit for that. I mean, people were like, how can you say that? That's so arrogant. I was like, no, it's normal, straightforward thinking. But people, and I guess I have not been very nice to people about that, because I didn't care that much. I never planned to do this as a business or make money with it. This was a nice, fun side thing. And today it's kind of the smallest business. I love it because it's my first one. It's like my baby. So I still care. But people should always look at, yeah, I don't know why people are stupid. Like they listen to some random idiots and say something, and because they love it, because they're losers like themselves. Sorry for saying that. I'm not sorry, but like they're losers like themselves. That's why they love to hear it. And if somebody comes in and says like, no, that's wrong, like do it like this, this, you actually have to play, you have to put in the work, they hate you for it. And it's okay. We got flamed a lot for that. And I think a lot of it is self-inflicted as well. If you're an asshole to people, they don't like you. And I take full responsibility and full credit for that. But yeah, go to somebody that has achieved what you want to do, and go to people that can teach you and have successfully taught that. So yeah, there are a lot of people with great sites, and I don't say it's all bad or you should only come to us. I'm not saying we're for everybody. We're definitely not. I think that's clear by now. But just these simple, very straightforward thinking, I think any of your listeners should take that away. Look for somebody, whatever you want to achieve. Maybe you don't want to make a lot of money at poker. Maybe you just want to have fun. There are people, I'm not joking, they just told me they don't want to make money. They just want to learn GTO. I'm like, cool, fun. Not our site. There's nothing even wrong with that. Like, I love to play chess, but I will never become like a professional. Not gonna happen. So I'm not in it for money. So if somebody says, I'll teach you how to make money with chess, follow these 3 simple strategies, I'm like, get off. Like, so yeah.
Yeah, I always hear that about like learning GTO. It's just fun, you know? It's just like what people want to do for fun. It's like serial killers. I'm not sure.
I'm guilty sometimes of this. I mean, I'm like intellectually, I'm interested. Like I know how it all works. For me, it's fascinating, but I'm not gonna sit. I'm maybe too lazy, but like I'm not gonna sit there and study 1,000 combinations. Like if I wanted to memorize something, maybe I should memorize all poems that I didn't do in school or something. But yeah, I'm just saying for everybody, don't worry about that. It's kind of like with business. Like no good business person goes to, well, not everybody, but like no good business person goes to business school. It's, why would you go there? It's business in general. It's very simple. Business school is not bad. I don't want to diss it, but in general, business is also very simple. You just give people what they want, find a way to provide it. You don't need to study that 3 years. Like, so that's how I view GTO.
Especially if it's really expensive. Like if you're here.
Oh,
well,
yeah. Like I have family in the US. Yeah.
Obviously most of the listeners that we have a pretty solid interest in poker, at least more than just a basic understanding of poker. So what would you recommend for most of our listeners who would be, you know, hearing or watching right now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course, I can plug our own site, Best Poker Coaching. The point is, I do want to be honest about that. We're not your, let's say, most affordable option. We have master classes that are really high quality, which is based on the methodology I just explained, but they do come at a higher price point. We do offer the coaching for profits, but on the other side, depending on the program, without going too much into detail, you will have to put in time and play. So I suggest you can visit the site. However, if your budget is maybe around, let's say $50 or so, we're not the best site for you. either you wait and because the truth is, a premium experience with stuff that works, it's a lot more work. I mean, I could sit down, just record 2 hours of blah, blah, blah. Sure, I could sell it for 50. Thousands of people can buy it. It's just not what I want to do. That's not us. If you want a real premium experience, top support, like we have the people that finish these programs. I mean, talking about crushers, like really good players, they're working with us. They're the ones who you can talk to. It's not a guy from India. That's, and no offense to my Indian friends, but it's not a random support person. Like everybody who's on our team is like bought into this. We really want to provide a premium experience. We do it at the cost of never becoming anything like super big. Like we're never going to be the biggest site. It's not our goal. We can't be, because you just can't. Like the Ferrari is never going to be the most sold car in the world. It just won't. So to the listeners, please feel free to check it out. I hope, I always said, like, we want to help everybody. The Coaching for Profits is the easiest way to join, but if you don't have time playing or something, go through it. We have some free resources as well that you can check out, because the least we want to be is we want to be an inspiration to everybody. Even if you can't buy our product today, that's totally fine. We have some free stuff that you can look into. But if you're ready to spend something, I would suggest start with a masterclass. Those are pretty good. And they're always updated, like every year.
I love that there was like a subtle comparison to the Ferrari in there. Like that, that was beautiful.
Did it work? Did it work?
Totally. I was like, oh yeah, like I definitely, I'm on the Ferrari life. Like I don't need this like everybody basic bitch car. I drive a Toyota Corolla, so it's terrible. But I love that. Okay, yeah. And so where do players go? Where do listeners go to make sure that they're catching up on the latest?
Basically, we don't spend a lot of time on social media. We don't have huge Instagrams account. I'm like, I know it's a weakness. Like the business school people would fire me, and rightfully so. It's terrible, but we're not, like, we really just focus on poker. I mean, we just focus on poker coaching. That's what we do. We do have a Facebook page, but I wouldn't say like get in touch with us on Twitter or anything. Like, I don't do that. The energy we have, we focus into coaching. So if you're interested in what we have to offer, just go to www.fastpokercoaching.com and see what there is for you.
I went this morning. The site also just looks great. I'm a weird person who just, if it doesn't look nice, I am completely turned off and freaked out, even though the content could be amazing. But if it doesn't look nice, I get freaked out by it. But the site looks fantastic. I absolutely would love to hear what you guys think when you check it out. And it would be great if some of our listeners, in fact, could jump on maybe 6 months or a year from now and let us know their experience. Well, Gordon, before I let you go, do you have anything else you would like to tell the homies?
Well, thanks a lot for having me on. Thanks a lot for the interview. If you have any questions, I'm sure you can leave it. I don't know if you have like some comment section or so, and Sarah, you can just send them to me, and we're going to be happy to answer that.
Well, always great to find some direction and some options, of course, for both us and our listeners to improve our game. And for those out there who are able to play online, who are able to get a taste of the action, we always want to give a shout out to our sponsors, GGpoker. We are about to just get into a lot of action going on GGpoker, but there's certainly some things that make GG stand out as a great place to test your skills. They have also some other options on their site. If you don't even want to play, you're able to get involved in staking. You can make some money hopefully that way. And even for a lot of the events during this series, you can do staking going into day 2, as long as registration is still open, but you can see who's got chips, maybe who doesn't, maybe they're willing to sell something at a lower price. It's a really interesting opportunity, I think, if maybe you're looking for ways to make money that are outside of just the tournaments. And my daughter woke up. Good Lord, why do I always have to talk so loud? I have to talk so loud.
She has joined us.
Good Lord. All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about though what we've missed. Jeff, why don't you take the first couple? And yeah, let's talk about what's been going on in this new part of the WSOP.
Yeah, Chad, why don't I take event number 41 and 42 since those came to a wrap on the same day? That would be both the Colossus and the PLOssus, whatever it is. The PLO one, that was won by the Brazilian Yuri Zivaleski. He wins more than $227,000. He finds that World Series of Poker bracelet for the second time, as last summer he won the $2,500 mixed Omaha high-low 8 or better 7-card stud high-low 8 or better event. He beats Matt Vengren heads up for that title in the Colossus. I was on the call for this one with the great David Williams for GGpoker.tv. We did this one out of the Poker Go studio. Very entertaining final table and a very quick final table. More than 12,700 entries in this one. A prize pool of almost $5 million. That's the biggest prize pool ever for a WSOP online bracelet event, and the biggest first place prize as well, which was $595,930. All that goes to Rano Sutla out of Estonia. Party Poker Team Pro Jani Jokamainen finished in third place. So terrific turnout for the Colossus. Those records that I just mentioned will be shattered by the Millionaire Maker, which has a $1.5 million first place prize. And that final table takes place on Saturday, also on GGpoker.tv. Chad, I will hand it over to you.
Event number 43 was an exciting one. Was watching the Twitch stream of this one, 10K short deck no limit hold'em championship. It ended up drawing 130 entries, and it was a pretty epic heads up match between Lev Gottlieb, goes by Lev Me Alone as a screen name, and then Belarus's Mikita Badziakuski, very well known high stakes regular. It looked like Mikita was going to win his first bracelet, but the cards did not cooperate. It went the other way, and it was Lev Gottlieb winning it for $276,000, took down his first bracelet. And then in event number 44, this one was, I know, very exciting for me and for the entire poker world. Really, It was the $2,500 no limit hold'em 6-handed. It was a one-day event, I believe, and it ended up getting 892 entries and was won by none other than Kristen Bicknell out of Canada. It was her third WSOP bracelet, and just really shows why she is one of the best, if not the best, women poker players in the world right now. But more than that, she's clearly one of the best overall poker players in the entire world. I mean, she just crushes tournaments in all fields. You know, she's won the ladies event at the WSOP. Here she is winning an online event. She's won other tournaments in between. She is just an absolute crusher, and she took this one down for $356,000.
Yeah, that was awesome to see. I think she represents party poker. She represents poker really, really well. And by the way, she also just so happens to be in first place in the World Poker Tour World Online Championships leaderboard. So Chrissy B has just absolutely crushed over these last couple months. I mean, Chad said it, you know, when I talk about the Kristen Bicknells and Maria Hose of the world, I don't, you know, qualify them as just one of the best female poker players out there. I say they're one of the best poker players out there. And time again, we see Kristen Bicknell showing up with huge results. So congratulations to her on bracelet number 3.
I feel like she was such a sleeper to me, if you know what I'm talking about. The cars that you know look like they're your Toyota Corollas, but then they just come off the line like they've got some crazy exhaust or whatever. Because I think, you know, seeing her the first time and meeting her right after she won her bracelet in the ladies event, not to be rude, but the person who wins the ladies event bracelet, I'm not always thinking, this is the next female crusher of the world. You know, the ladies event is its own beast of an animal. And so I think I was definitely sleeping on Kristen Bicknell. And then when she came back the next year and won another bracelet, I was like, okay, but like, I guess maybe that could happen. I'm not sure. But since seeing her on the circuit and seeing her work ethic and seeing her jump into, in the last year or so, these high rollers jumping into the 100Ks, it's been really impressive to watch her career. And yeah, I definitely realized, like, you can't be you can't judge a ladies event winner by her cover because Kristen's a crusher. All right, event number 45, the $840 bounty no limit hold'em was won by Patrick Muddington Kennedy. It was his first WSOP bracelet, and he won almost $250K. Pretty legit. I'm looking to see if we. Oh, I also was going to say in the short deck, it's so interesting because it's such a bizarre form of poker, I guess I'll say.
Yeah.
You see a lot of the same players, right? These European players and these Asian players who love to get in there. But I can also remember in Barcelona just last year, the same thing where it got heads up and then it was like a 6-hour heads up match or something with the swings just crazy back and forth. I'd come out and be like, oh, winner's about to happen. Sit there for 30 minutes. 30 minutes later, the other guy has all the chips. So it's definitely a form of poker that I need to wrap my brain around a little more clearly, but definitely something I think, for those who love the 4-card games and who love the swings, something they might want to check out. All right, event number 46. Jeff, Chad, either of you interested?
Sure, Chad, go for it.
Yeah, no problem. $500 deep stack, no limit hold'em, 2,307 entries, top prize of $161,000. It went to South Korea's Sungju Hwon, plays under Artie Poker TV. So claiming a bracelet for the South Korean contingent there. And that's one of the interesting things that I've been enjoying about the GG portion of this schedule is when I was doing the WSOP.com, you had bracelet winners from either Nevada or New Jersey. They were winning from one or the other. Here you have in the GG portion, people from all across the world have been winning bracelets. And there was a one for South Korea. And then I know in events, what is the next one that we're talking about? Number 47?
Short deck. Another short deck.
And this guy is from Malaysia, Paul Teo. And he won his first bracelet here, $88,000. But Teo has been having a very good GG poker portion of the WSOP series. I don't know the exact stats, but we were talking with him on the team about like players that have really kind of broken through, and his name is one that's being mentioned. And we do a weekly article on PokerNews, the kind of performance of the week during these WSOP events, and he's certainly a name that I wouldn't be surprised to see on next week's article.
And I keep seeing the name Vladis Bernakis pop up in these GG events as he wins event number 49, the $500 turbo deep stack event, a field of almost 3,000 players, which is absurd, a prize pool of more than $1.4 million. He sits down and then 6 hours later, he wins a bracelet. It's a turbo. Obviously, the action is fast and furious. He wins for more than $192,000. Again, that's event number 49, the $500 turbo deep stack event. And also late last night, wrapping up the $2,100 bounty championship with our winner, Enrico Kamoshi, goes by GTO Exploiter. So a nice merge, Sarah. I think you would appreciate that screen name. Connor Drynan finished in 7th. Now keep in mind that Connor Drynan and Daniel Negreanu have a bracelet bet worth $100,000. And Drynan was so close to that bracelet. Now, if he wins a bracelet, it's not over yet. Negreanu can still win a bracelet to tie him, but I'm sure he was certainly sweating that one out, just like he will be sweating out the Millionaire Maker final table because he has a $100K bracelet bet with Daniel Dvoris, who has the chip lead going into the final table of that one. Anatoly Filatov is also at that final table, and that final table will be broadcast on Saturday, 2:30 p.m. Eastern, 11:30 a.m. Pacific time on GGpoker.tv.
Ronnie Kaiser, always also a crusher in the mix there with the short stack, but that's definitely, those are some sickos at that final table. I think that will be super, super interesting to watch, but also a little unfair because it's the Millionaire Maker. So really, does it have to be all these guys that are already millionaires at the final table? JK, no one cares about that. But speaking of Daniel Negreanu, I feel like it's only fair for us to bring the audience back up to speed. As one of our peeps on Twitter did mention, by the time our episode came out, which was literally like 12 hours after we had shot it, the grudge match between Daniel and Doug was already set and ready to rock and roll. And when we left it, we were already just, debating about what were some potential other terms, what were some other things we could do to make this a little juicier for Daniel instead of a 4-table no limit hold'em heads up online. And Jeff, what did they ultimately decide?
Yeah, it looks like it is going to be 2 tables of no limit hold'em heads up online. So we are playing towards Doug Polk's specialty for sure. They're going to play 200, 400. What they aren't quite sure of yet is what site they'll play on, how they will be broadcasting it, how many hands they will play. It'll be somewhere between 10,000 and 25,000 hands. But this is really happening. This is 200, 400 heads up, Negreanu versus Polk. This is the culmination of kind of this bad blood that has been brewing between these two for a while now. And now we get to see them go at it. I personally would prefer to see it live. I just think that would be a lot more intriguing with the banter that could potentially take place back and forth online, kind of a little meh. Or, maybe they'll do a little bit online and a little bit live. I don't think that's totally been finalized, but it sounds like 2 tables online, heads up, 200, 400. Let's go. Let's get after it. And Negreanu admits that Doug Polk is a favorite here because, this is Doug Polk's specialty. He's been an online no limit Texas Hold'em heads up crusher for almost his entire career. But with that said, it's going to be pretty intriguing to say the least. We don't have a date or anything on it yet.
It's interesting. Chad, I'm curious what you think. Well, I guess I'm curious what both of you think. For Daniel, I feel like since he knows this, maybe isn't his specialty, although to be fair, of course, Doug hasn't been super active in the poker game for a while, but we've seen plenty of these really fantastic players at the top of their game who take long breaks and come back and still crush at the very top levels. But I'm wondering for Daniel, if he doesn't feel like he has an edge, why he would agree to this, or what do you guys think is going on there?
I'm just going to say I'm one of the few who just am not really too excited about what I think is just a dick measuring contest between these two guys. Like, don't get me wrong. I like a good challenge, but I like challenges that are born out of a better spirit than what this one was born out of. This one was just born out of bad blood, hatred, whatever. And I don't know. It just doesn't do it for me. And don't get me wrong. I'm going to end up covering it. I'm sure I'll be tweeting about it a lot because it is going to be a big story in the poker world. And I understand that. I don't know. I'm just not as excited as a lot of other people are in the poker world. And I am surprised that Daniel accepted this challenge. I don't see a lot of upside to it for him. I'm not surprised that he was kind of goaded into it. Doug Polk is known for poking the bear and doing clickbaity things. And he was supposed to be retired from poker, and then to jump back in and antagonize Negreanu like he was doing, not to, it just, like I said, the whole thing to me just doesn't taste right. I'm not thrilled about it, but it is what it is. Like I said, it sounds like this whole thing is going to happen. Negreanu has accepted. I guess he just got pushed to his limits where now he feels he's kind of going to give in and give Polk what he wants and stand up for himself and fight. And, Negreanu has that Rocky mentality that he talks about, from watching the movies and stuff. He wants to be the fighter, the underdog, and he'll get his chance against Polk. So. I
think to your point, Chad, Negreanu is perhaps a bit tired of it. It's just been pretty relentless from Doug Polk, effectively using, Negreanu as clickbait for some of his videos. And in Polk's video, he kind of admitted that. Like, he admits that he uses these big-time poker personalities to draw people in to his videos. What's the upside? I don't know. If Negreanu did beat Polk heads up, we probably wouldn't see as many videos from Doug Polk bashing Negreanu, because then you'd be like, oh, well, Negreanu beat you heads up. Not that one heads up match is really going to tell us that much. We're still going to think of Doug Polk as a no limit hold'em heads up crusher. So I don't really know what we're getting out of this, but I just like the potential for these two to get together to have a conversation. I don't know. There's just something about these rivals head to head that I find to be a little bit intriguing, but I certainly see Chad's points here.
Yeah, and I think we spoke about that a little bit last week. I even was saying this is like the Mike Dentale, Kate Hall heads-up match too, where it's just like there's a bunch of drama and a bunch of BS, and is anything really solved by saying, well, I won the poker match here or something? I don't know. Somehow I just also feel that there's it's not as interesting to me as actually the drama itself. But
they better when they do this though, since it can't be in the live realm, or it's not going to be in the live realm. I hope they at least set up like web cameras so they can see each other. We can see their faces, their reactions to bad beats, and at least get some of that emotion. You know, if they're going to do this, I hope they at least do it in the right way to get viewers invested. Because the last thing I want to do is be watching, you know, just a screen of online hands. Like there's got to be a more human element to this, because that's what it's born out of, is this human hatred of these two individuals to one another.
Yeah, for sure. I'm with you. And I want to, if they're looking for a place to play it, more likely than not, it will happen on GGpoker, but it could also happen on Run It Once. These are another site we like to throw to, that we like to support. They've been very supportive of our podcast. I should say, at least me, have been a very big fan of Phil Galfond and Farrah Galfond and Baby Galfond for many, many years. And he too has been invested in challenges, which I think he has risen to the occasion, also gracefully accepted defeats. And I think if you guys are interested, if our viewers and listeners are out there and they're interested in trying a new poker site, you definitely want to check out once.run/PNpod. That's once.run/PNpod. And now the World Series of Poker is not the only poker going down on the interwebs these days. There are plenty of other things going on. And one of the things we've been actually talking about, I've made some content around, is the World Poker Tour World Online Championships. We talked to Roberto Romanello and Tony Dunst about the World Poker Tour World Online Championship, and the 8 Max just went down. Give me the details.
Yeah, 8 Max Championship, the first of 5 championship events, which award a seat in the WPT Tournament of Champions presented by Baccarat Cristal. You get your name inscribed on the newly renamed Mike Sexton WPT Champions Cup. You win a Hublot watch, you win a Baccarat Cristal set. WPT is going all out for these events, and it's Gavin Cochran, Gavs, winning the first of these 5 big championship events for more than $540,000. We also have a 6 Max Championship, a knockout, a mixed max, and then the granddaddy of them all, the World Online Championship. That's a $10K buy-in with a $10 million guaranteed prize pool that takes place next month. The turnouts for these events have been terrific on Party, almost $3.2 million in the prize pool for this one. And you're seeing, again, the best of the best. We mentioned it. Chrissy B's name is on top of the series leaderboard, and Gavin Cochran's name is on top of the leaderboard for this 8 Max event, more than $540K.
540K.
There's going to be a great poker history trivia question born out of this event. Who was the first player ever to have their name inscribed on the Mike Sexton WPT Champions Cup? And it's going to be Gavin Cochran. He's the first winner since the trophy was renamed. So that's a fun little bit of trivia that will be out there, I think.
We know Chad loves the trivia.
Yeah.
But also, did they inscribe Mike Sexton's name on there somewhere? Like, does it now say Mike Sexton Cup, and we could say that? Maybe we could argue.
Oh, is it a trick question?
I don't know. But Gavin Cochran. Okay, I'm going to remember that.
No,
all right.
you are.
No, I 100% will not. Well, I want to give a shout out. We gave a shout out last week to Grateful Mouse, our longtime homie in the poker world. And we've got a couple of other iTunes reviews out there that we just want to say thank you. Chris Zia said, best poker podcast. And Chris, you are just right on the money if you want to know what I think. Best place to get poker news from a group of great hosts. The presentation is always fair and fun. Thank you, Chad, Sarah, and Jeff, from a fan in PA, the great PA. So wanted to tell Chris, thank you. Chris with a K. And also Jay Esposito, labor of love. Just want to say thanks to all you guys for your labor of love. Your podcast and Dat Poker Podcast is where I get most of my poker info, as well as from your app, PokerNews. Keep up the good work. Best of luck to you all, and I'll be sure to continue listening and do my part to ensure that you have at least this outlet for all the players out there. So, Jay Esposito, super appreciate it. We asked you guys to let us, get a little love, and you returned the love immediately, and we very much appreciate it. If you guys want to like, rate, and review, we, of course, greatly, greatly appreciate the time, effort, and energy that goes into that. We appreciate all the people who listen and who support us, who share their stories with us, who answer our DMs, who do our interviews. And if you guys have any stories we're missing or things you think we should be seeing, of course, tag us or slide into our DMs at Chad A. Holloway, at Jeff Platt, at Aunty, AUNTY, Chardonnay. And we will do our best to dig deep, to get into all the stories we can and to find the guests that you guys will be into. I'm going to reach out to Chrissy this week. Hopefully we can get Kristen on the show. She gets pretty serious though when she's playing the pokers, and I have to imagine probably a lot of outlets are reaching out to her right now, so we'll see. But I will reach out to her. And yeah, anything else you guys want to ask, say, tell, share before we let the peeps go?
Yeah, be sure, if you're listening to this and you want to supplement your PokerNews experience, be sure to tune in to the PokerNews Twitch channel. We're streaming all kinds of great GGpoker events 3 nights a week. I think it's Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Sundays. And then, of course, we have the Discord channel. If you're looking for a community to talk about poker, to share bad beats, to see industry, be sure to check out the PokerNews Discord channel.
And also twitch.tv/Jeff Platt. Take that, PokerNews, and your coverage of WSOP events. We usually go on different days, so we don't even compete. If we do compete, whatever. And I mean, nobody has a monopoly. I love Jesse and the guys over at the PokerNews stream, and twitch.tv/RobVSTyson, GGpoker.tv Saturday. David Williams and I on the call for the Millionaire Maker, handing out $1.5 million this weekend.
What is your schedule, Jeff, now that we're on the GGpoker side of the world?
Doing some of the WPT World Online Championships featured table coverage every Monday. Tuesday, I'll play in some WSOP.com Summer Series events and light some money on fire. Wednesday, Rob versus Tyson. Thursday and Sunday, and then late Saturday, for sure, I'm going to do some WSOP featured table coverage and perhaps some final table coverage. We got the Cards Up feed for the Turbo Deep Stack the other day, expecting the same for the GG Masters High Roller WSOP edition, and we'll showcase some of the 10K Heads-Up Championship this Saturday, hopefully the rounds of 16 and the rounds of 8.
Very cool. But also twitch.tv/PokerNews. So either way,
right? Also,
up to you guys.
Also, yeah.
JK, all right, cool. You guys,
bring it, PokerNews. Let's go.
Thank you so much for listening. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you to all of our sponsors. And of course, I appreciate Gordon taking the time to come on and talk to us about best poker coaching. So we will catch you guys on the flip side next week. Deuces.
The key to winning big is using every little bit of knowledge to your advantage. At Odds Checker, we give you the edge. Better odds, better picks, and better offers to make you a better bettor. Why settle for less? Quickly compare the odds at every sportsbook to ensure that you're getting the best price to maximize your return. Not only that, but we have experts on every sport, from hoops and football through to soccer and boxing. Our experts analyze the form and study the stats to deliver you totally free picks and parlays. OddsChecker also highlights the most lucrative welcome offers in the industry. If you're looking to open an account, then you are eligible for hundreds of dollars in totally free bets. If you're new to legal sports betting, then we're here to help, offering simple advice to understand betting guides and updates on your state's current legislative situation. Visit us at www.oddschecker.com/US. OddsChecker. Sports betting smarter.